Om Shri Ganeshaya Namo Namah. Greetings to everyone all over the world. It's a green morning, green afternoon, and green evening. We extend a very warm welcome to all our brothers and sisters across the globe. आप सभी के अच्छे स्वास्थ्य की मनोकामना करते हुए, we hope that you are taking care of your health, you're taking care of your wellness, physically, mentally, you're keeping yourself fit. Some time back, I was just going through one of the statements, and I was quite happy to read that, where Tim Grover, who was the coach for Michael Jordan, he was writing, and he was conveying that we spend 100% time in the gym on our body just to tone up our muscles. And he was telling, even if we spend 1% of that time on our mental development, on mental robustness, the wonders can be done on this particular planet. So, ladies and gentlemen, हमारी सोच ही सब कुछ है. जैसा हम सोचते हैं, इस संसार को वैसा ही पाते हैं. We all got to think positive, talk positive, live positive, because the world has gone through very difficult times, and the last 2 years have been very, very challenging for everyone world over. So today, on Tuesday, 15th of March, 2022, we extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished guest of the evening, Professor Manjeet Paintal, ma'am. She is the former chairperson, Department of the Community Education and Disability Studies, what we call special abilities, also nowadays from the Panjab University, Chandigarh. Our series is on. Today is 1496th webinar, Making Education Relevant. How education can move from my head to my heart to my hands. That's the way I have to work out unless we don't work. And we are doing this particular series with Media Entertainment Sector Skill Council under the aegis of Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, because entertainment, happiness, radio, television, theater, music, films, animation, augmented reality, virtual reality, anything you think about it. And also world is moving with sustainable development goals. Those 17 goals when we want to achieve by 2030, these 2 years was a great setback to everybody. And we are trying to catch up, and we are trying to run faster so that we should not lag behind. Let us see how much we can catch up and how much we can move on. So while extending a very warm welcome to all our brothers and sisters across the globe, wish to share with you, today we had a wonderful session in the afternoon at 12:30, and that was preparing global educators. This morning also we had a special session at 10:30, and that was basically once again, हम global teachers, global educators, global counselor, global wellness coach, yoga, meditation, naturopathy, organic eating, organic thinking, positive eating, positive thinking, and whole life profile should change, where the world should become a peaceful place and we all live like one family on this planet when you call it Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So, ladies and gentlemen, 8th of March, it was International Women Day, which was dedicated to Northeast part of India. And we had a wonderful deliberations with the youngsters over there across 8 beautiful states of Northeast part of India. So preparing global teacher and also understanding what does youth want. International Chamber for Service Industry extends a very warm welcome to all of you. These are Indians, 31.46 million Indians across. You can count, they are increasing almost about 25 lakh people, they add up, they move on, they migrate, they go across, some of them, they come back. So on the average, if I see, approximately 32 million Indians are abroad at this point of time in different countries. Those are migrated. सारी दुनिया एक परिवार है. हमें सब लोगों का एक अच्छा सफर, साथ और सहयोग चाहिए, so that we can make world a better place, beautiful place, tension-free place. Our chamber deals with the services sector because the economy has got three parts. You've got agriculture, you've got manufacturing. We deals with service industry. We also understand, all of us, that education, it's going to be almost about 7 trillion plus by 2025. So when we think about it, when we talk about it, something very amazing which comes to our mind, how the world is moving, which way the world is moving, and we keep talking about that. EdTech platforms are also coming up. Anyway, there is no end to deliberation, there is no end to discussion. We can always talk more and more, but I think we are waiting to hear today's distinguished guest, Professor Manjeet Paintal, ma'am, who is joining us. May I humbly request, ma'am, you got to adjust your camera a little bit, ma'am. And thereafter, yes, it's right over there. You can unmute your mic as well. And thereafter, we would request you to kindly share your vision. Let's have wonderful journey of yours where you think about what education used to be, how education has moved on, where are we today, and how do you see the future? And our focus, our concern is how can we help particularly our teachers, our educators, our counselors, and whether it is globally or whether it is locally, whether they are world over or whether they are in India, even if they are starting their own venture, how do you feel? How do you see the people, those are interested to come into education ecosystem? How do they prepare themselves? How do they move on? And entire education ecosystem we can take on. You can touch any subject, any segment, any topic. Let's move on and let's have a wonderful evening. So ladies and gentlemen, hearty welcome to Professor Manjeet Paintal, ma'am, all the way. Namaskar and hearty welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. And I'm really grateful to the ICSI for having me over for this session. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am. Perfectly fine.
Now, the question that we have got in mind is how to face the challenges locally and then globally. Now, because we have to prepare our educators for the challenges, the global challenges that the world is encountering. The world is going through social, economic, political, and lot many other cultural deviations. There are differences, there are up and downs in the world. We are not able to match with the people and their thinking and their needs. The educators who are always involved and are evolving in the subjects that they are teaching, or they are to prepare their students in. That is, that they have to prepare their students to come up to the challenges, meet the challenges. Their endeavors have to be seen. They have to work hard to see that every child who comes to them is educated, has become proficient, has become professional, has become competent, has become a developer in own self, to see to the world how to live and work together in this global arena. Global arena and internationalization is a big, big mandate for us. We cannot meet with our limited resources and with our limited thinking the challenges that we are going to encounter outside. Yes, the universities, the higher education, and the boards and the ministries and the commissions have been working towards it in the reforms, in the bringing up the new curriculum, bringing up new challenges, bringing up the demands of the society to a level that they can beat up and they can meet up with the existence of the globalization and the challenges. Of course, the UNESCO and the UN are doing their self-development and the sustainable development agendas. And number 4 agenda is our educational agenda. And we have to meet all our challenges by the 2030. And if we think that we are not going to, you see, prepare our educators to that, it's going to be a really, really sad future for our educators, for our students, for our institutions, for our universities, for our higher education, for the agenda, for the requirement, for the competence that is required. The rapid rise in the complex cultural, democratic scenes, progress in the ideas which are changing socially, culturally, scientifically, humanistically. They are involving new and new orientation to the world. They are teaching us how to develop wider networks, how to develop closer networks, how to understand the dynamics, how to understand the canvas of globalization, how to understand the matrix of global awareness, the competence, the world-minded persons, the factors, the professional factors, the personal factors. Now, whenever the personal factors, the backgrounds come into force, we have to read our professional courses, we have to see, we have to develop curriculum according to the personal needs and according to the personal competence, meeting the professional challenges. Now, these two things, when they match, when we upgrade, when we bring our educators and to that level, that they can meet up the increasing number of challenges in their life. New curriculums are coming, new faculties are coming, new arenas are coming, new areas are coming, new topics are coming, contents are increasing socially, scientifically, politically, economically, financially, culturally. All these things are changing. Now, if we go by the number of students, international students or the global students that we have in our university or class, is not what we are seeing. We are seeing our responsibility towards those students who are coming to us and who are interdependent and who are, the world now is interdependent on education. The higher education has always been popular, has been in demand. The universities have been, exchanging students, have been exchanging educators, have been exchanging their curriculum, have been exchanging their, plural social meetings. They have been meeting with their plural societies, because now we have to recognize the responsibility to prepare the students for life, to prepare them students to meet social responsibility, to have knowledge and to be responsible citizens. Now, this process of teaching development among the faculty has to be seen through a concept of educational interventions, the capacity, capability of the faculty, the teaching norms, the expected learning, the outcomes, the learning strategies, the assessments, the relevance, the design of the curriculum, the personal and professional background, like I said, the pedagogical approaches that the globalization, the players will need, and it will play important role in our lives and in the cultural backgrounds. Now, if we go by the ERIC Foundation, and they are into a lot of research on education, and they've done a lot of workshop. And on one of my meetings at the international conference, I did come across, and we did exchange a lot of views, knowledge, information about how our students, how our educators could benefit from this educational process, how the classroom perspective can be improved, how we can improve our educators, how the ability in grouping our educators can be there in the classroom, how our academic achievements can be taken up, how our achievement gains can be multiplied to the advance, to the benefit of the teachers, educators, and our organizers, how our andragogy can take up, how our adult learning can take up, how the assignments can be taken up, how the behavioral objectives can be taken up, how the case methodology can be taken up, how the class ranking, class size, class groups, students, communication, how the techniques in the classroom can be enhanced, how our
Sorry,
coaching can
sorry,
improve.
sorry, interfering, ma'am.
Yes.
The voice is vibrating a lot. I'm so sorry to, if you can reduce the volume a bit, or if you can just, because there's a sparking sort of a thing effect, which is coming in the audio, because that's what is written by the audience in the post on the YouTube. They are telling the voice is vibrating a lot, and there is some like a loose connection, or maybe the volume is more. If you could be kind enough just to, do you want to change the gadget, ma'am, or you want to try headphones or something like that?
Or should I try the headphones?
Sure. Why not, ma'am? Why not? So, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Manjeet ma'am is giving us a lot of valuable inputs, and particularly education system has gone under tremendous change. We all understand that, because 19th century belonged to UK, 20th century belonged to US, 21st century we say it belongs to Asia. But you got to understand, there is a book which has come from Professor Jagdish N. Shetty. He says half the century belongs to Asia, and the remaining half century will go to Africa. Ma'am, when you join back, please come. I will be able to see you. So if you read, there is a beautiful book also, Chin India. And then he has written a book on Africa. And he is telling us, if I read those pages, it gives us a kind of a feeling that 21st century, first 50 years belongs to Asia, and the next 50 years belongs to Africa. India's population has reached its peak. Now we have got maximum youngsters, and thereafter, it is Africa where the population will keep rising. We can try it out with Madam. We can just try and see, because she
Yeah.
has logged in
Am
again.
I audible now? Am I audible?
This is better, ma'am. This is better. Please go ahead.
Okay. So when we talk about the educators, how we are to prepare them globally, like I said, that personal and professional competence is going to play a big role in the enabling the educators to come up to the level of the international and the global arena. Now, because we have so many topics and so many concerns globally, which will matter at the time when an educator takes off on teaching learning. So what happens is that we have to see to what the educator is trying to say in the classroom. What are the facilities he has? What is the ability he has to formulate groups? What is the ability, academic achievement ability he has? What are the achievement gains that he has so that he can multiply on his improvement in the classroom? What are the effective objectives he can use? What will be the assignments he can give? What will be the behavioral objectives he can do? What will be the case method he can take up? What will be the class ranking, the class size, the classroom communication, the classroom techniques? Now, mind you, all this he has to be aware of. And for that, we have to prepare our educator globally globally to be competent, to be able to take assistance from computer, conventional instructions, cooperative learning, from course objectives, from creative activities, from curriculum enrichment, from creative teaching, from educational methods, from educational strategies, enrichment, how much enrichment he can bring to his classroom by solving problems, the problem based learning, then the experimental learning, experimental teaching, the formative evaluation, how he can take up evaluation, midterm, final, and internal and external. How can the grading help him? How can the group activities he can take up? How can the grades improve? How can the teaching learning happen in the class? Mind you, in the classroom, if there is no teaching learning, there is no teaching happening, whether it's experimental, whether it's in the class, outside, inside, or it is on a behavioral way of teaching, case study way of teaching. Any educational method that or a technique that you use has to have a learning outcome. If there is no learning happening, there's no teaching happening. I believe in that. In my classroom, I used to feel that if I have not shown my teaching aids, if I have not been loud enough, if I have not made my students understand the basic, I have not been able to impart any knowledge or new information to them today, I have not linked my class or my lesson with the experiment outside or made it into a story or made it interesting for them, I have not achieved anything today. So my today will be will be depending on how my classroom teaching is. So my today will be there tomorrow. So the educator has to be so blessed, so good in discussions, in the group dynamics, in the diagnosis of everything, in the strategies, in the electronic learning, in the error correction in the classroom that he's it has to be experimental learning. The students have to raise their hand and say, yes, we are learning. The students have to have an eye contact. Now, because of the e-learning and e-programs and online learning, this has taken a little back seat, but more programs have come forward. More programs are coming online. This more with this, we are covering more clientele, more students. But there is a drawback because we are losing on the eye contact, we are losing on the personal behavior, we are losing on the personal touch, we are losing on the one-to-one contact with our student. But the assessment evaluation, that is going on the way it has been going. In fact, we have enabled our teachers to take forward the classes in a different mode. This is an add-on to our teaching process in the classroom. So the add-on has to be more stronger, has to be more beneficial, has to be more adaptive, has to be more connected, has to be more relevant, has to be more and more of everything. It has to be one plus to your classroom teaching. I believe so that if we don't take up these kind of teaching in a democratic way, our assignments, our andragogy, our pedagogy, our theory, linking with the practice will not benefit the student. And when the results come, we can see that. Whenever we say we have access to education, we always look at our student, the institution, the materials, the personnel, the faculty, what accessibility do they have? So we always look in the terms of academic accommodation, access to computers, access to the admission criteria, access to the attendance, to the barriers they have, the college admissions, the education, the educational discriminations, the educational finances, the supply, the enrollment, the experience of the teachers, the inclusion, the intellectual freedom a teacher enjoys, the open educational resources, the open enrollment, the prior learning, the school location, the school learning, the school agenda, the social justice, the school ideology, the student cost, the student financial aid, the virtual class. Now, why I'm saying all this is that these do silently or openly, broadly or narrowly, micro level or macro level, they do come, and we have to face them, and we have to take the advantage, not the disadvantage of the education that we are going to impart to the individuals. We are to not do quantitative only, we are to do qualitative teaching, so that we consolidate the necessary achievement and consolidate the information that we want to give to our students. We have to have our risk students, we have to cover them. We have to have compensatory education, compulsory education. Now, these are some of the topics of research also, because whenever we start teaching, the research factor has to be also looked in. And worldly, globally, mind you, we share research the most at the moment than our teaching. First comes the research to our institution, to our country, to our institution. Then we follow with the teachers. So if we have the research in our mind, the inquisitive mind, with our faculty, with our institutions, with our organizations, definitely we will look into the academic achievements as one of our goals. So whenever we see that, we have to see what is the development study programs that we are going to introduce, what are the disadvantages of the environment that we are going to face, the disadvantaged school, the education, the educational needs, the opportunities, the status, the equal education that we have to impart, the illiteracy that we have to face, because there are so many developing countries who are facing this, and they have to first meet that challenge. Individualized education programs, learning programs. We have to introduce non-traditional ways of education. We have to have open enrollments. We have to have remedial programs. We have to take up slow learners. We have to take learners with learning disabilities. We have to take special needs students. We have to have supplementary education. We have to have transitional programs. Whenever we see that education is a process of imparting and obtaining knowledge and attitude, skills, and socially vibrant character or behavior, which includes our philosophy, purposes, programs, methods, and the organizational setup. We have to have broader terms. We have to have kind of access to education, the adult education, of course, also, which I have been working for so many years with the theory and the practice of adult education all throughout the world. I have seen how people work on adult education and livelihood, how the income generation, competence, and the skill development is happening, how we have to take up in our own country, and how we have to take models of other countries to adapt in our own country, or the other countries to adapt from us, how these dynamics have to take be working. So we have to take the aesthetics of it, we have to take the agriculture education, we have to take basic education, we have to take bilingual education, the career education, citizenship education, the comparative education. I did my PhD in comparative education on different countries in adult education, compensatory education, compulsory education, the consumer education, the corporate education. Now, the corporate education is having lot of extensions of social responsibility. We are also having a mandate, an amendment, and a bill 2013 for corporate social responsibility, because we feel as educators and as students, as citizens, as professionals, we owe to our society some bit that we have learned. And that bit we can do in a very big way. And that bit we have to take the responsibility and share in partnership with our governments what to do, how to build up strategies which can enable our students to come forward, take up social activities, correctional education, then we have to have articulation in education. If we do not have that, then we are missing out on something. The curriculum that we adopt, the educational innovations that we take, the malpractices, we have to stop them, the educational media, the methods, the educational mobility, of course, is one of them. Then how we can do relevant education, distance education, how we can take up drug education, how we can take up early childhood education, economic education, energy education, equal education, extension education, family life education, journalism, leisure education, migrant education. We can take up open education, outdoor education, patient education, physical education, police education, popular education, population education. There was a project by UNFPA which was sponsored and given to the Panjab University, which I was heading for, I think, 10 years or 8 years, to look into the population education issues in our own country. And for that, we were going out doing outreach activities. We were taking up environment. We were taking up number of norms in children, norms of childhood education, environment, old customs and beliefs, health and education, hygiene, HIV, AIDS. We were covering quite a lot on that, and how to limit family size and how to be responsible parents. So all that was being covered by population education. Now they had introduced sex education also at the early stages in school. Now this, when we talk about population education, we also talk of professional education, public affair education, public education, rural education, science education, special education. We have been covering quite a lot of educational research in the universities. We, it is a mandate with the university to do research, to do teaching, and to take up extension services. And wholeheartedly, in a holistic way, the process of education takes up in the universities. I, for my university, know that we have been doing. And our faculty could not have existed without taking up research in their field. And so was our field of, education, qualitative, quantitative, ethnic. Every kind of education was being taken up by us. More was the qualitative because it was action oriented research. So then educational technology, which is far the more, pertinent and the latest in our lives because of the COVID, also of the pandemic, of the technology that we should be aware of the technology that we can use and enhance the quality of our education, of the technology that we can, mass media that we can take up to incorporate and imbibe even in our education system, how to enhance our learning, how to enhance the outcomes of the education, how to bring training, how to bring politics in education, how to be regular in education testing, theories, in the trends. There are so many, unlimited topics that we can cover in education. And now the demand the world over is like that. The topics that we have, the subjects that we have in every subject are innumerable. You touch and you know, and when you study abroad, you come to know so many other supplementary education, technology education, tribal education, urban education, values in education, vocational education, women education. We cover all kind of, community-based education, community education. So what I mean to say is that education is such a vast matrix, such a vast, map that we can draw so much on it, and we can always have, broader canvas for it, and we can articulate our practices and theories and our education coordination courses to the students to upgrade all the time our school and our college and the schools around the world. If we come to the articulation, of course, we need to do educational planning, we do need to do alignment, we do want to do placements, we want to take up college cooperation, we want to take up cooperation, we want to do program content, we want to take up transfer policies, we want to have upper division colleges, we can grade the colleges, we can have different kind of, you see, articulation in our education. And if we talk of curriculum, then we can have big, curriculum organizations offering beautiful curriculums for any specialized course, any specialization that we require for our, educators. We have the core curriculums, we have the family consumer core curriculum, we have the mathematics, the integrated curriculum, the honors curriculum, the military, the modern language, the preschool curriculum, the religion curriculum, the science curriculum, the shop curriculum, the social study curriculum. We have speech curriculum. While we were working for our courses, we were preparing lot many manuals and curriculum designing we were doing at our level. And before you start any course or a classroom teaching, you have to be prepared. You have to prepare your faculty. You have to prepare your curriculum in such a way that your students can benefit. Your curriculum designing has to be relevant to the changing times in the world. Your curriculum has to be updated. Your curriculum has to be research oriented. Your curriculum has to be market oriented. Your curriculum has to be socially oriented. And if your curriculum is weak in some way or the other, it's not going to have many students for you the next year. So you have to update your curriculum every 2 years. Every 2 years, you have to go to the board and tell, look, times are changing. We have to introduce this subject. This topic has to be introduced. Conflict resolution has to be there. New panchayat modes have to be there. New livelihood methods have to be there. New skill development programs have to be there with the Ministry of Skill Development. There were new mandates coming. They were merging and integrating lot many programs, especially from adult education and elementary education. So there was a multi-purpose, multilingual, multi-effective program that was incorporated in many higher schools and many of the universities and 10+2 classes with add-on courses. So this always helps us to, bring up our levels of education to higher and higher levels. If we go by the you see curriculum, of course I've discussed that, and discussions on curriculum development and decisions should never end. They should be an ongoing process in these in the department to enhance and bring up an interaction, the orientation with the students and the faculty, the changes that they want, the perceptions that they have, the internet accessibility they have, the knowledge they have, the information they want to share with you, that should be incorporated. That will be our educational innovation, what we call. We strive for innovations. So we always say that new ideas, new practices, new educational programs, new systems should come in force. Now, these all are educational innovations. There has to be a change, there has to be a development, educational development. There has to be experimental curriculum. There has to be school reconstructing, reconstruction, redoing, reviewing. These are all matters of, improvement, bringing higher degree, bringing higher achievement. Updating means higher thinking, higher practices, higher enrollment, and higher globalization and enrollment, and uh, you see uh, placements. So we have to not stop at one place. These are ongoing processes which one should never forget. because there is a theory, then there is a practice, there is an experiment, which one has to do and which one has to incorporate in the subject. So if this doesn't happen, the educational media we may be aware of, we can use so much of educational media, media research, media adaptation, computer assistance, management, computer equipment, electronic classrooms, smart classrooms. We can have media, multimedia instructions. We can have printed media. We can have telephonic visual aids, conferences, video conferences. We can have so many things happening, to interact with other resource persons, like, we can go to the center, we can go to the any institute in America, any research organization who has been doing good work, and we are doing a similar kind of a work. If we want upgradation or update on that, we can always have a arrange for a video conference, which we have been doing, and the conferences I have been attending also with Africa and America, and so many other countries. We used to go on conferences and interact on our research methodologies and the activities that we took up, outreach activities, and the adult learning, week that we used to celebrate on the International Literacy Day. So all that, was a good exposure, a good learning for, we as educators. So you have to upgrade on technology that way, and we have to have educational development, constant access of that, constant information pouring in, constant information on the new devices that we can get hold of. Influence of technology is very large, very big. What a student can learn while seeing a vision or by learning through video, it's very rare that we can express so much online. I wanted to bring a few mm, you know slides, but
Slide.
somehow I'm not that competent here to do that. So, but we have been doing it. So technology integration, technical support is needed for that, video technology. Now, virtual schools and virtual classrooms. Virtual classrooms we have seen now in pandemic, and we have been doing web-based education, right? We have been doing a lot of training to the teachers in school. Initially, they were, fumbling, but then later on, they all got onto it. I must say, hats off to the teachers who kept up with the process, educational process in the society. Hats off to people like you who have been bringing so many, breaks in this, and so many video conferences to tell us what is happening globally, how we can enable our educators to come up. I must say that, because you see, if one system falls, that was the school system which was falling. It was the higher education which was falling because they were not attending classes. But the other system, the alternate system, took up so well. The multimedia system took up so well, and where it took our students, now they in fact want to hold on to that and don't want to go to back to the school and the college. The parents are facing problem because they don't want to. They're so used to, but they were missing their friends, so they want to go and meet their friends. But otherwise they were very happy doing all this because they could do whatever they wanted. But what I'm saying here is the alternate way of teaching, the mode, the alternate technology and the methods were so nicely taken up, and the ministries and the government helped the faculties and the students and the teachers, to take it up. They were facilitated. I think that was a very, very big challenge, which at least I feel very proud to take up at this and say that India could do it. The health wise problems, challenges, the education wise challenges, Probably because we had a very strong support system, and probably we had a strong, thinking, knowledge-based faculty and knowledge-based, people who were our leaders, or knowledge-based institutions who could take up and zoom it up for the, less, privileged people who could not take it up in that competent way. The knowledge management was fantastic. The skill development was too good. And our trainers were doing all cross-cultural training, counselor training, contract training, you know, uh, kind of a sensitivity training, sensory training, and team training, and learning tutor training from all over. There were volunteers who were teaching. I must share with you that, during the COVID, we had a team of NSS volunteers from the Engineering College Sector 12 in Chandigarh. I'm very proud to say that Indian Council for Social Welfare, where I work as an advisor, had taken up this issue of, giving tuitions and classes to underprivileged children who could not afford tuitions and who could not leave the house because they were not allowed to travel out or go out of their house to learn and, take up training. So these students came forward and gave them online training, and till today they are doing it. So all the 2 years, and now they are doing, we have about 30 volunteers from NSS, and they are into, teaching these poor children from the migrant labor, or from the domestic help, or from the streets, or from the dropouts, or the children who have difficulty levels in maths and science and English. So these students are helping them. And mind you, the students have been able to take up, these classes regularly, and their children are have benefited that they are now going to, from 40%, they are getting 60% marks, 70% marks. And if they don't, are not able to link up, their parents call me up. Ma'am, we are not able to connect. Can you please help? I'm so happy with that. And I feel that sitting here, I was able to at least teach these children, who don't know how to read English, don't know how to speak English, but their textbooks are so, heavy on them. So they needed help and support from outside, and they couldn't take up tuition. So I'm very grateful to the team of the NSS volunteers who took up. Now, these are examples, these are models. In the university, when we had our department, we took up migrant population who were children of constructing workers who were constructing our buildings. Their parents and children we took up, and about 400 to 500 parents and children we took up in 2-3 years with the help of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, compulsory education and education for all. And we didn't want to deprive them of education, especially living in university and not getting education. And our mandate was to teach postgraduates and B.Ed classes, but we took them up as one of our social activity. And mind you, our students were so good. They used to go and teach them poetry, mathematics, teach them, you know, how to read, how to be hygienically correct, how to clean their teeth, and how to talk and nicely dress up. And, our students used to take up all social issues with them. And we used to have drug de-addiction from the PGI activists coming and helping them. We used to have the health center coming and giving them deworming and giving them, tablets for diarrhea and iron and, calcium for the girls. And they would come and take lectures. And the traffic police here used to take up our children in the van to give them, guidance on traffic rules, which was, very good for them, because whatever their future may be, whenever they go back to their native village, at least they are able to practice what they have done. So all this, our experiences have been international, national, with poor, with learned, with researchers, with teachers. have, potentially brought us to that level where we can experiment and we can pick up issues of that kind which are related to our society. So I feel that today's world needs all this hopping up and all this related issues of, inclusion and skill development, basic skills, and motor development training, and activities of community education. What is community, how the extension services work, how to relate in a community, what are the outreach programs that they can have, what does community mean, how many types of community is there, how many types of programs, diversity in their learning, diversity in their teaching, and diversity in the classroom, diversity in the field, how these learning outcomes can be, moderated, and how these learning outcomes can be achieved. How can the learning outcomes be better and better and good for the person in the holistic development, in the worldly development, in the tragic development that the world is going through, in the development, fast changing, activities of the world. So how we are to take up environment, how we are to match culturally with them, how to work together with them. These are all our issues for our educators to be globally fit and to be working and to take all the challenges. Every time we say that an educator comes up, multifaceted, and says, yes, I am now an educator by taking a degree, right? But he does qualify to take a post. But does he qualify, he or she, does he qualify to teach a student who needs his help? Does he? We can't deprive our students or any child who comes to us of, information and knowledge and experience and research and, ability. So we have to put ourselves into how to group them, how to categorize them, how to face them, how to meet them, how to, meet their requirements. So this an educator has to, open up. The educator has to be one up, to be alive and brave in taking up all these diverse challenges that the society and the students are facing. And if we can do that, our teachers used to tell us that to be a good teacher, you have to be a very, you have to know what is education, you have to be very punctual, you have to be very able, you have to be very smart, and you have to take up the child in a firmer way, and you have to take up the issues that he addresses to you. But now I feel it's a all friendly way of doing. Students are really, really coming up with new ideas, new ideologies, new openings. And students have so much, you learn so much from your students, I feel, because they are now open to so many things. And when they teach you, you feel one up. You feel that at least they have thought that you are a teacher whom they can share with, and you are a person who can, guide them further in with your experience and experiments in life, what to do in future, because they are going through their life where they are not able to decide what to do, whether to take up marine engineering or to take up army or to take up field or to take up as a PhD doctor or a medical doctor or a practitioner or a teacher or a driver or a, they do not know, and they are actually depending on the kind of education that they are going to have. They are depending on the subject that they are going to be interested in. They are going to depend on, their future will depend on their interest, and meeting their interest with a holistic and a wise way. So I feel that, we have a lot of responsibility towards our students, and globally, if they have to encounter so many things, then there's a whole lot of, work to be done for them. And I'm sure that, uh, with the internet, with the YouTube, and with the so much of knowledge and information, it's not difficult. So, out of my experiences that I can speak of is that we started the Department of Community Education and Disability. We were a department by the MHRD as a regional resource center for adult and continuing education. Now, continuing education is a big field. Uh, Outside India, I saw that continuing education means continuing with your education after you have finished with one education system. That is, if you are a graduate, then postgraduate. They call continuing education that. For us, it was a person who has learned how to read and write and can read some sentences and a paragraph and a chapter can do the supplementary reading in continuing education. So because our, you see, adult education, being an underdeveloped country, was different from theirs. So we had to take up that mandate of, preparing their material, their books, we were training the teachers to take up adult education in the field. We were teaching the learners, we were taking up andragogy, we were taking adult learning, what will be the techniques, how to motivate them, what methodology we should take up to teach them so that we retain them in the classes. There are no dropouts. I have conducted a research on the phenomena of dropouts, how we have had dropouts, you know, and then if you go to rural areas, there'll be 50% dropout of the girls from the schools. How to raise the enrollment, how to retain them in the classes was one big challenge the schools were facing, the education system was facing. So we had to bring out research work on that. And we went and we did field exposure. We found out reasons for that, the irregularity in the classes, the no seriousness in the class, the non-payment on time, the difficult level of the of the text, the you see time available with the learners. All these factors were responsible, and the village education committees and the village education, you see, regulatory systems, what they were doing to help, stop dropouts. So those factors were very huge and massive, whereas the concern for literacy and illiteracy were concerned, and bilingual, lingual, local language were big problems too. So you see, all these multiple problems did come in the non-formal sector. In the formal sector, of course, also we faced a lot many dropouts, and the reasons were, the parents were not educated, they were not serious, they were having large families, they were having not enough resources to send their children, they did not know what the what education could do to their children, to reform, to change their thinking, to change their attitude, their aptitude. Today morning, you were talking about the tests that they are to do for personality, ocean personality, for the aptitude test, for the ICT. I heard you on that, and that was very relevant. You see, if we can adopt those practices and if we can help in that, I'm sure we'll encounter even the dropout rate, for that. So the education system now, the NEP has brought out many changes. They have brought out many, changes, and for the educators to come up, and in a multidisciplinary, kind of mode, which will be very viable, which will be very helpful, multi-purpose and multilingual and multidimensional and multidisciplinary, will help, take up educational level, from the rigidity to the flexibility of it. I'm sure we'll, be able to uh, globally help access to education and improve upon our education policies and give equal education and inclusion and bring it to the mainstream of other countries and uh, other places. So I feel that if we regularize and if we update and if we are regularly having workshops, preschool training, preschool, pre-service, in-service, refresher courses, exchange program, scholar workshops, these will all help the this industry of education to grow. This education you know challenges will be taken up, and this industry will take up to higher and higher challenges, because I feel that people are interested, people are, sometimes they're not aware, sometimes they don't catch up, sometimes they're left behind, sometimes they don't look forward, sometimes they're too busy in their own uh, uh, you know home affairs. Sometimes they don't want to make it a career, they don't want to come out, they don't want professionalism in them, they don't want to look up into the mandate that they can have. But let me assure you that the parents are pushing their children. Higher education is taking care to see that the children are benefiting wherever they go, wherever they get qualified for, wherever they get admission, wherever it is suitable, wherever it is acknowledgeable for them, wherever they feel that their curriculum suits them, wherever the fee structure suits them, wherever there is multicultural living happening. And now whenever we went out, we always met people from all over, and they would ask me, do you know how to read? Do you speak English? Do you drive a car? Do you know this? Oh my God, look at her. I said, why? I wear pants, I drive, and I speak English, and I go to a school, I teach. Uh, oh really? But you are a country from where there are many gods. You are a country where a man pulls another man. I said, so what? If we pull a man, we are helping. They meant the rickshaw puller, that you are a country where a man pulls another man in a cart, and you are from a bullock cart country. You are from a country where there is no knowledge, where is no TV, there is no technology happening. And they were shocked when they met me. And when they interacted with me, they said, oh my God, we can't. I said that you have a very vague view and opinion, but we are going to change that view, and your thinking on that and your views on this, and and we lived together in that culture, and there were a lot to learn from them, their inhibitions and their you know roles in education, what they played and what we played. So that was where we learned how to do emailing first in 1996. We were in Philadelphia, and the University of Philadelphia, and there we were given these computers, and we learned how to do, and we were shocked that in 5 minutes our mail goes with no money to spend on, and we get a return back that we have, yes, acknowledged, we are coming. That was a treat, that was a learning, with the excitement that you have in you, and with the learning feeling that you want to learn more and more. You take up on that, if you are well, you have the capability, the ability, I think there is no you can do your capacity building anyway, in a group, individually, outside, inside, wherever you are. So if you are a smart educator, you have to be that kind of an educator where you're ready to learn, ready to expose, ready to incorporate, ready to achieve. So I feel that other experiences are many, but this forum will not be able to. But I'm so grateful that you brought me onto this. And lately, I have been doing a lot of CSR, evaluations institutional evaluations, and I have been preparing online programs for corporate social responsibility and the amendment of corporate social responsibility 2021, which has brought so much the society so much closer to the corporates and the business world, that they have started adopting villages, they have started adopting societies. There are very good models, there are very good examples. They have understood the objective of it, and they are doing it in a very, very colorful way, in a very, very serious way. And I'm sure with the stakeholders and shareholders, we are going to take up this mandate forward. And our students, who were not aware of CSR, have started learning. uh, Probably I may have brought in the post graduation classes, the first one to have brought CSR in 2013 with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We worked on it and we took a lot of material from them and we prepared our curriculum. There were not many good books available, there were international books, philanthropic ways of working were there. But as a mandate, as a bill, we didn't find much material, but we did find it from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And we are so grateful to them to have helped us in developing this curriculum. And I'm so happy that I was associated with it. And I introduced it for my students, and they were so happy. And they did not know what it meant. And so many of my students came and did project work on it. They did PhD on it. They did, go outside and did internship on it in the field. So I was very happy that, they are aware of this terminology called CSR, which many of our students means out of university or in other places may not know. But there is a time to introduce it because that is the now in thing happening, and a lot of changes are happening. If we evaluate them and if we sum up our 5-year program or 3-year program or 2-year program or midterm evaluations, then I'm sure we will be able to find out what the CSR has been doing. They are doing miracles. They are doing lot of interaction with the public, with the society, with the colonies, with the deprived areas, with the low-lying areas, with the water, drinking of water, with the solar system, with the energy level, with the health issues. They are doing a lot of meditation courses for the post-COVID patients. They are doing a lot of work. I know of Sonalika in Hoshiarpur who has been doing wonderful job on this, and I know of so many other CSR organizations, the Bharat uh, uh, and the Tatas and the other organizations who have been involved in CSR. We keep reading on what all they do. So it's a service. It's a field of theory and practice. So whatever we do, and it is so useful. Many students used to come to us and ask us for certificates that they were traveling abroad and they needed the certificates of social service. And we gave them very happily because they did internship in that. And we would give them the certificate for the duration they were involved in. For that time period, we would give them happily so that whatever field they go to Oxfam or they go to ERIC or they go to any other organization, this is a certificate which will help them because I feel if not in our country now, other countries do look at it as a very big certificate for them because they feel a person who has a background, a social work background, has experimented academically and experimentally. So they like to take up the profession in that way that we are going to give them admission for that, and they get their points on that. So we were happily doing it for them. And so many students, when they left, when they went away from us, asked us on email if we could send them the certificate. Since I was the head, so I know about it, that we have been doing it very happily for our students, because this was one mandate which was not available for all the disciplines and in all the departments. It was our community education department which could give them and help them with this extra certificate apart from their academic activities and qualifications. So we were very happy to do it. So
Wonderful.
this is how things
Wonderful.
are going, and this.
Pleasure to hear, ma'am. Pleasure to hear and pleasure to get valuable inputs. You have given such a wide canvas of the education. I would be very keen to take on the agenda of the CSR because during this pandemic time, we have been talking with all the non-resident Indians and the leading corporate houses that the 2% which you have to spend as a CSR activity, why don't you take care of the education ecosystem? If the nation has to develop, if the nation has to move forward, let us take care of our children. We could do a meaningful, authentic, realistic research, and that research should be utilized, teachers to be empowered, youth to be adopted, and our chamber organizes every year. Earlier we started with Punjabi Parvasi Divas, and thereafter we have started North India Pravasi Divas, and we have requested all the Indian diaspora also, instead of wasting and spending that money somewhere else, it is better you adopt 5 kids, give them the need-based quality education, make their life, they will become better citizen, and there will be a more global peace. We would certainly take your help, ma'am. We would certainly take your valuable inputs. I'll have one of these days separate program with you, and I would also pay my regards to you one of these days, and we'll take the vision forward. Corporate social responsibility, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. I am in touch with the gentleman who drafted the whole document, Bhaskar Chatterjee, and right from the day one, when this particular document was being prepared, everything was going on right from that time. I'm so very happy. I'm so very happy. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for sparing your time. Thank you for being with us. We look forward to another occasion, another program. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Professor Manjeet Paintal, ma'am, eminent educationist. I would call her now eminent philanthropist and the person who is helping the humanity through the route of the CSR. Namaskar, Dhanyavad.
I have to thank Mr. Bhaskar Chatterjee too. He was our DG for National Literacy
Yes,
Mission.
yes, yes.
We
We
worked
worked,
under him.
we
What a
worked,
wonderful leader he was.
yes,
Yeah.
we worked together on couple
Even in
projects.
Maneswar, in the corporate affairs, he was
Yes,
there.
yes.